So when I started checking the copies, that is when I looked at answers from a person who is checking those answers, not as a person who is answering those answers. So that was a major shift and a useful shift to understand the answers. So like I was seeing like when somebody was writing too much in unnecessary paragraph formats where it's not needed, I didn't feel like giving them marks. So,
Okay.
and when somebody was introducing well with short and good introductions, when they're concluding with some punchlines in the conclusion, it automatically motivated me to give about more marks there. And it's something as simple as, when somebody fills the entire paper without leaving any spaces, that kind of told me that, okay, this person knows what they're doing. That kind of. So these small things I picked up. And I also picked up what should not be done. Don't write too much. Be very precise about what you're trying to do. And if you do not meet the demand of the question, you might as well not attempt that question.
Okay. Why? Usually people say that attempt as much as you can, but you think
Yeah,
it gives a
but
bad impression?
yes, but uh, so when you are attempting an answer, a question, and you're not addressing the demand, it tends to irritate the checker, I feel. If you
It's
know
a,
the demand, okay, just don't write anything. Respect the person who's checking your copy. They're not fools sitting there.
so this is how you used to evaluate copies at
Yeah,
this is a standard.
exactly.
Okay, interesting. Okay. And what about frameworks and putting those in place, the toolkits which we usually talk about? Uh,
So, like all the basic stuff that all the toppers keep talking about, which people actually find it difficult to execute, like using
hmm,
flowcharts, using diagrams, using writing good introductions, good conclusions. So these examples, like lots of examples, and committees, articles. So I realized you can. We think everybody wants to do these things in the exam, but somehow they cannot do it on the actual day. That's because they're not practicing enough to be able to do that on the final day. So
makes sense.
so we need to like practice a lot, like write a lot of papers and see what if you are able to do what you want to do. So
Yeah.
I had practiced adequately so that when I was writing on the final day, I knew what I was going to write in those papers. And I was on an autopilot mode, like
Hmm.
to that
Hmm.
point. So I practiced till that point where I could be very comfortable. No matter what they ask, I knew how to address the demand and write a decent answer.
So the muscle memory kind of would kick in, and
Yes,
you'd
definitely.
correct.
I strongly believe in that.
Okay, and you did go through all the PYQs of mains and prelims previous years. Even though you took a different optional anthro, you did it by the books and by the basics, right? Okay. What you just said right now, right? We imagine, because the knowledge is everywhere. I mean, all the information is all around, all YouTube. This video would also go, and this would be much more practical. But again, this would be like, hey, you should do like this. Uh, I want you to tell me what all things you found difficult to execute, even when you knew them. So that it eases the guilt for the Janta at large.
Yeah. So even after I checked papers at civils daily and I developed the sense of what's a good answer and what's a bad answer and what should not be done. So when it was my turn to actually start writing answers to the mains, I was still not able to like completely execute it. So I have a friend who already cleared the exam and he was kind enough to like point out at my paper and show your answers are bad. You really need
Okay.
to be changing them. You know that you have to change them, then why are you not doing it? And
Okay.
when he pinpointed and showed it to me, see, at the same point, you could have written it that way.
Hmm.
So when somebody pointed it out very clearly, uh,
Hmm.
you know, criticized my answers, I think
Hmm.
criticized, but also showed me the way to do
The
it.
way to go. Yeah.
Because even in my previous attempts, I had a lot of criticism on my answers, especially geography answers, but I did not have a way out as to how could I have done it better. So I think this was difficult, but again, with sheer practice, writing well high number of exams, like mock exams, it helped me like gradually develop.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, the structured criticism kind of helps.
Yes.
Where you should. Were you also doing this when you were evaluating the
Yes,
papers,
yes,
like giving an
definitely.
alternate?
I remember one of the copies that I was checking, the person, aspirant, he always complained about whoever was checking the papers. So he would call me up and then we would have a discussion and then I would try to give him my point of view as a check.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
then eventually he understood what I was trying to say and he was also like, okay, this is how we can go about it.
Oh, makes sense. That's quite a rich journey then when you were behind the scenes, right?